This story is titled, My Wife Returned from a Love Trip with Her Lover and Found an Empty House. No children, no belongings, no husband. Her choice had finally caught up with her, and my revenge was just beginning. Hey Reddit, my name is Robert Anderson, and I'm 31 years old. I've been living in Atlanta for the past few years, where I work as a software architect at a major tech company. I'd say my life was pretty damn good overall. At least that's what I thought. I've been married to Amanda for 12 years, and we have 2 amazing kids together. From the outside looking in, everything seemed perfect until that fateful Friday. I got home early that day, around 4:45 p.m. Amanda had been working from home for the past year, doing some content writing gigs she'd picked up because, as she put it, being just a mom wasn't enough anymore. Usually when I arrived home, I could hear her talking on the phone or typing away in the kitchen. But that day, there was nothing but silence. I stood in the foyer holding a box of donuts I'd brought as a surprise for the kids. Just a small gesture to make the weekend special. The silence felt unnatural, almost oppressive. "Amanda, you here?" I called out. No answer. The air felt heavy, like the whole house was holding its breath. I decided to head upstairs, thinking maybe she was taking a nap or on an important call that required quiet. That's when I noticed something weird. Our bedroom door was shut. This might not seem strange to most people, but in 12 years of marriage, Amanda and I never closed that door unless one of us was changing clothes or sick. It was just one of those unspoken rules of our relationship. And now it wasn't just shut, it was locked. I knocked on the door. "Amanda?" I waited, but there was nothing. I knocked harder. "Amanda, everything okay in there?" There was silence for a beat, and then I heard her muffled voice. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just finishing something up. I'll be down in a minute." Finishing what exactly? What needed a locked door at 4:45 in the afternoon? My heart started pounding, but I tried to play it cool. "What are you hiding, Christmas presents?" I joked, trying to keep my tone light. Her laugh came too quickly, pitched too high to be natural. "Yeah, exactly. Just don't come in, okay?" She didn't even try to sound convincing. I stood there staring at the door, knowing something was happening behind it. Something she didn't want me to see. That's when I heard it. A faint rustling sound, like fabric against fabric, and then a whisper, low and hurried. It definitely wasn't Amanda's voice. My stomach dropped instantly. My voice got tight with tension. "Amanda, who's in there with you?" She didn't answer right away. I could hear more movement behind the door. Sounds like someone scrambling to get up. My mind was racing through every possible scenario, each one worse than the last. "Amanda!" I shouted, banging on the door hard. "Open the damn door right now!" "I said I'll be down in a minute, Robert," she snapped, her voice suddenly sharp and defensive. I didn't care anymore. I grabbed the handle and yanked it, but of course it didn't budge. Without thinking, I threw my weight against it, slamming my shoulder into the wood. It took 2 tries before the lock finally gave way. The door flew open with a loud crack. What I saw stopped me dead in my tracks. Amanda was standing by the bed, her face white as a ghost, hands gripping the edge of the mattress like it was the only thing keeping her standing. And there he was, half hidden behind the open closet door, some guy in his early 30s, a bit younger than me, wearing nothing but boxer briefs. His shirt was crumpled on the floor. I stared at him, then at her, my brain trying desperately to process what my eyes were seeing. "What the hell is this?" My voice came out low and shaking. Amanda opened her mouth, then closed it like a fish gasping for air. She didn't look guilty. She didn't even look ashamed. She just looked annoyed, like I was inconveniencing her. "Robert," she sighed, as if I was overreacting. "You weren't supposed to be home yet." That one sentence hit me harder than any physical punch could have. Not, "This isn't what it looks like." Not, "I can explain." Just, "You weren't supposed to be home yet." The casual way she said it, like her only mistake was poor timing, made my blood boil. The guy started fumbling for his jeans on the floor. Look, man, I should probably go," he stammered. "You think?" I snapped, taking a step toward him. He flinched, grabbing his clothes and backing toward the door like a scared rabbit. I was seconds away from decking him, but he bolted before I could. Then it was just me and Amanda, standing in the wreckage of what used to be our marriage. "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I asked, my voice shaking with rage. "How long has this been going on?" She crossed her arms and still wouldn't meet my eyes. "Does it matter?" Her words hit me like a physical slap. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No apology, no remorse. Just pure cold indifference. Does it matter? Are you serious right now? My voice was rising to a shout. We have a family, Amanda. We have 2 kids. And this is what you're doing while I'm at work? She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. Oh, don't give me that family crap. You're never around, Robert. You work late, you barely talk to me anymore, and honestly, you're boring. I needed more. Her words sliced through me like knives. Boring? I'd been working my ass off, providing for her, for our kids, for this life we built together. And I was boring? I stood there staring at this woman I thought I knew. This woman I had loved for 15 years. In that moment, I realized she wasn't that woman anymore. Or maybe she never was. I made my decision right there. I didn't say another word to her. I turned around, walked out of the room, and headed straight to my children's bedrooms. I told Lucas and Rose to pack their bags, saying we were going on an adventure. Amanda didn't try to stop me. She didn't even come downstairs. By the time she got home later that night, happily returning from what I assume was her little date, the kids and I were already gone. And that was just the beginning. The drive to the motel was the longest 25 minutes of my life. Lucas sat in the back seat with Rose, both of them chattering away, blissfully unaware of the storm I was trying to contain in my chest. Every mile we put between us and the house felt like another step toward breaking apart the life I thought I had been holding together. Rose clutched her favorite stuffed elephant and leaned forward from the back seat. "Daddy, where's Mommy?" she asked innocently. "Isn't she coming with us?" For a second, I couldn't breathe. How do you answer a question like that to a 5-year-old? I gripped the steering wheel tighter and forced my voice to stay calm. "Mommy had to stay home, sweetie. This is just a special trip for us." Lucas has always been more observant than his sister. He narrowed his eyes and asked, "Is Mommy mad at you? Did you guys have a fight?" His question hit harder than I expected. This kid, my kid, was already so used to tiptoeing around tension. I wanted to scream, to tell him how unfair it was that he even had to ask that question. Instead, I forced a smile in the rearview mirror. "Nobody's mad. Everything's fine. Just sit back and enjoy the ride, okay?" I pulled into a rundown motel parking lot outside of the city limits. Lucas wrinkled his nose. "This doesn't look like a fun trip," he muttered. I didn't respond. I just parked the car, got out, and checked us into a room with 2 beds. The receptionist didn't ask any questions, but the way she looked at me, like she knew exactly what kind of night I was having, made my skin crawl. Once we got inside the room, the kids immediately claimed the bed closest to the TV and started arguing over what channel to watch. I sat on the other bed, staring at the peeling wallpaper, trying to make sense of the whirlwind my life had become in the last few hours. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was her, Amanda. "Where are you?" Amanda. "Robert, this isn't funny." Amanda. "Bring the kids home." Amanda. "Answer me." Amanda. "We need to talk." Talk. Now she wanted to talk. I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the block button. But blocking her wouldn't fix anything. I had to think, had to figure out my next move. I decided not to reply. An hour later, her texts turned into calls. I let them go to voicemail. After the 5th missed call, she left a message. "Robert, stop being dramatic. Bring the kids home. I don't have time for this." No apology. No concern for the kids. Just annoyance that I had disrupted her evening. I could almost picture her pacing in our living room, scrolling through her phone, probably messaging that guy, venting about how difficult I was being. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. Instead, I shoved it in my pocket and turned to Lucas and Rose. "All right, guys," I said, forcing cheer into my voice. "Who's up for pizza?" That perked them up instantly. I ordered delivery from the first place I could find. While we waited, I helped Lucas set up his Nintendo Switch on the motel TV. Rose climbed onto my lap, babbling about how she was going to beat her brother at Mario Kart. For a moment, things almost felt normal. Almost. The pizza arrived, and we sat eating on the beds, the kids giggling over cheesy jokes they made up. I laughed along with them, even though my mind was miles away. I kept checking the window, half expecting Amanda to show up, not sure what I'd do if she did. After the kids finally fell asleep, I sat in the dark staring at my phone, feeling the weight of my decision pressing down on me. This wasn't just about Amanda cheating anymore. This was about what kind of life I wanted for my kids and for myself. I started scrolling through photos, pictures of family vacations, birthdays, lazy Sunday mornings on the couch. In every single one, Amanda was smiling, playing the part of the perfect wife and mother. For the first time, I wondered how much of it was real. At 11 p.m., another text came through. Amanda. You don't have the right to take them like this, Amanda. Bring them back now or I'll call the police. I laughed out loud, a bitter, hollow sound. The police? For what? For protecting my kids from whatever circus she was running back at the house? Let her call. I wasn't afraid of her anymore. Still, I knew we couldn't stay in the motel forever. She'd figure out where we were eventually, and I wasn't about to have that confrontation in front of Lucas and Rose. I needed to buy myself some time. Time to figure out how to make this separation permanent. I texted her back, keeping it short and cold. Me. Kids are safe. I'll call you when I'm ready. Her reply came instantly. Amanda, you're overreacting. Amanda, don't do something you'll regret. Regret? Oh, I regretted plenty. Like ignoring the signs for so long, like trusting her, like letting her turn me into some predictable, dependable idiot while she snuck around behind my back. But if she thought I'd regret taking the kids and walking out, she had no idea who she was dealing with. I stared at the ceiling for hours that night, my mind racing. By morning, I had a plan. The game wasn't over. It was just getting started. I woke up the next morning with the kids still asleep, their small bodies tangled together under the scratchy motel blanket. I just sat there watching them breathe. They didn't know it yet, but their lives were about to change. I couldn't let them grow up in a house built on lies. I couldn't let Amanda think she could just waltz back into our lives after what she'd done. I wasn't going to play the victim. Not anymore. I slipped into the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. I looked like hell, but there was something else there too, something I hadn't felt in years. Focus. Amanda thought she was smart, but she'd made two mistakes. First was thinking I'd just roll over and take this. Second was underestimating how far I'd go to protect what matters to me. By the time the kids woke up, I had already booked us into a cabin about 2 hours away, near Lake Norman. It wasn't much, just a little rental on the edge of the lake, but it was far enough to buy the breathing room I needed. I told Lucas and Rose we were going on a mini vacation. They were too excited about the lake to ask questions. Amanda, of course, was another story. As we packed up the car, my phone buzzed nonstop with calls, texts, and voicemails. She was relentless. I ignored every single one. As I was loading the last bags into the car, my phone vibrated again. I glanced down and froze. It wasn't Amanda this time. It was Jennifer, her best friend. Jennifer. Robert, what's going on? Jennifer. Amanda is freaking out. Jennifer. Can we talk for a second? I considered ignoring her too, but an idea sparked in my mind. I realized Jennifer might be exactly who I needed to hear from. I sent a quick reply. Me. Sure, call me in 20 minutes. We hit the road not long after. The kids were chattering in the back seat, arguing over who would get the biggest pancakes when we stopped for breakfast. Meanwhile, my mind was spinning, calculating my next move. True to her word, Jennifer called about 20 minutes later. I turned down the radio and made sure the kids were occupied before picking up. Robert? Jennifer's voice was cautious, almost hesitant. Hey, Jennifer, I kept my tone even. Amanda sent you, didn't she? She didn't send me. She sounded defensive. She's just worried. She said you took the kids without telling her. Is that true? I almost laughed. Did she also tell you why? There was a pause on the other end. No, Jennifer admitted. She just said you were upset and... Look, I'm not trying to pick sides here. I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm fine. The kids are fine. But since you're so concerned, let me fill you in. I laid it all out for her. The locked door, the guy in his underwear, the complete lack of remorse from Amanda. By the time I finished, Jennifer was dead silent. You're kidding, she finally said. But her voice didn't sound surprised. You knew, didn't you? I pressed harder, my heart pounding. What? No, she protested. I mean, I suspected something was going on, but Amanda never told me anything directly. I swear I didn't know. I didn't know if she was lying. I didn't care at this point. Look, Jennifer, I'm not calling to point fingers. I need to know if there's anything else. Has she said anything to you? Mentioned anyone? I need the truth. Another pause, longer this time. I could practically hear Jennifer weighing her loyalty to Amanda against whatever shred of decency she had left. There's a guy, she finally admitted. I don't know his name, but she's mentioned him a couple of times. Said he was exciting, made her feel alive. Jennifer's voice dropped to a whisper. Robert, I didn't know it had gone this far. I thought she was just venting. Venting? I repeated in disbelief. She locked me out of my own bedroom, Jennifer. She brought him into my house. Does that sound like venting to you? Jennifer didn't respond, which was answer enough. Thanks for your honesty, I said, my voice cold. Tell Amanda I'll be in touch when I'm ready. I hung up. That was all I needed to hear. Whoever this guy was, he wasn't just some fling. He was the excuse Amanda had been waiting for. Her ticket out of the life she'd apparently decided wasn't good enough for her anymore. But she had underestimated me. That night, after settling into the cabin and putting the kids to sleep, I sat at the small kitchen table with a beer in my hand and my laptop open. It didn't take long to piece together a plan. First step, finding the guy. If Amanda wouldn't give me answers, I'd get them myself. And when I found him, let's just say I wasn't going to handle it the way she thought. Revenge isn't about yelling, breaking things, or making a scene. It's about precision. It's about making sure she realizes with crystal clarity that she destroyed the wrong man. She wanted excitement? She wanted freedom? Fine. I'd give her a taste of both. We'd see how she liked living with the fallout. Finding him turned out to be easier than I thought. People like Amanda don't cover their tracks well. When someone lives a double life, they always leave breadcrumbs, and she wasn't exactly subtle. I started with her email. I had set up Amanda's Gmail account years ago when she needed help getting organized. What she didn't know was that I had linked it to an old backup email of mine. I'd never had a reason to use it, until now. Logging in was like stepping into a room she'd forgotten to lock. I wasn't prepared for how much was there. Flirty messages, vague innuendos, even a reservation for a hotel she had claimed was for a networking event. It didn't take long to find his name. Tyler Bennett. Tyler. It sounded generic enough to belong to a guy who thinks he's special because he wears leather jackets and posts gym selfies on Instagram. The emails painted a nauseating picture, inside jokes, pet names, plans to meet while I was at work. She'd even forwarded him a few pictures of the kids. My kids. That was the part that made my blood boil. She had brought this guy into our world, let him peek into the life we built, all while keeping me in the dark. She had turned what was supposed to be sacred into some kind of joke. It took all my self-control not to smash the laptop, but I couldn't lose my cool. Not now. I needed more information. I had to keep digging. I searched his name on social media, and there he was. The human embodiment of every midlife crisis cliché you could imagine. His profile was public, and it didn't take long to find the telltale signs. Pictures of him hiking shirtless, selfies with captions like "Rise and Grind," and of course a motorcycle. He looked younger than me by a few years, closer to Amanda's age. Fit, cocky, exactly the kind of guy who thought breaking up a family made him irresistible. As I scrolled through his posts, I noticed something else. Locations. He wasn't just some random fling. He lived nearby, less than 20 minutes from my house. That's when it all clicked. The networking events, the girls' nights, the gym obsession. All of it had been orchestrated so she could spend time with him. She hadn't just cheated, she'd turned our entire life into her playground. I stayed up late into the night, piecing together his past, his patterns, his habits. He worked as a personal trainer, which explained the obsession with fitness. His posts showed him at the same coffee shop every Friday morning. He liked to hit up a local bar on Saturday nights, usually with a group of equally douchey-looking friends. By the time the sun started to rise, I had everything I needed. But I didn't just want to confront him. That would be too simple. I wanted to unravel his little fantasy life. Amanda might have thought he was some kind of escape, but I was about to show her exactly what she had traded me for. I spent the next day with the kids, trying to focus on them instead of the storm brewing inside me. Lucas and Rose didn't need to know what was going on. Not yet. They thought we were just on a little trip, and I wanted to keep it that way for as long as possible. By the time evening rolled around, I had finalized my plan. I left the kids with a babysitter, an older woman who ran the cabin rentals and was happy to help for a small fee, then drove into town. I parked a few blocks away from Tyler's favorite bar. The place was loud and crowded, reeking of cheap beer. It wasn't hard to spot him standing near the pool table, surrounded by a few guys who looked like carbon copies of him. Muscles, tight shirts, cocky grins. Tyler had his arm draped around a woman who wasn't Amanda. Interesting. I grabbed a drink and found a spot near the wall where I could watch without being noticed. The woman he was flirting with couldn't be more than 23, laughing at every stupid thing he said. He leaned in close and whispered something in her ear that made her giggle. So, this was the guy Amanda decided was worth blowing up her life for. A serial flirt who probably thought commitment was a dirty word. I waited until he went to the bar to grab another drink, then made my move. Tyler Bennett? I stepped up beside him. He turned, clearly surprised. Yeah, who's asking? For a moment, I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. Really looked at him. He had that smug, self-satisfied air that only comes from coasting through life on looks and charm. It made me sick. My name's Robert, I said finally. We have a mutual friend. He frowned, confused. Don't think I know you, man. You don't, I said calmly. But you know my wife, Amanda. The color drained from his face so fast it was almost comical. Oh, relax, I held up my hand. I'm not here to fight you. That seemed to confuse him even more. He glanced around, probably looking for backup, but his friends were too busy with their beers and pool game to notice. I just wanted to meet the guy who's been sneaking around with her, I continued. I mean, it's not every day you get to shake hands with the guy who wrecked your marriage. Look, man, he started. Save it, I interrupted. I already know everything. The emails, the meetups, the hotel reservations. I leaned in closer. I'm not here to make a scene. I just want to know one thing. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing nervously. What does she know? I asked, tilting my head to the side. I lowered my voice. Does she know about the other women? Because from where I'm standing, it doesn't look like she's the only one you've been keeping busy with. He stiffened, his eyes darting toward the girl he'd been flirting with. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then he cleared his throat. Don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. I smiled coldly. Enjoy your night, Tyler. Don't worry, I'll make sure Amanda gets the full story. I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, pale and flustered. Step 1. Plant the seed. Let him panic. Let him wonder if Amanda was about to find out the truth about him. Step 2 would come soon enough. The next morning, I sat at the edge of the dock behind the cabin, watching the mist roll off the lake. The kids were inside eating cereal and watching cartoons, their laughter echoing faintly through the cabin walls. It was peaceful out here, serene, a stark contrast to the storm building inside me. Amanda had texted twice that morning. Amanda, are you ready to stop this nonsense yet? Amanda, we need to talk about the kids. Amanda, stop dragging this out. Not a single word about what she'd done. No apology. No admission of guilt. Just pure arrogance, like I was the unreasonable one for not playing along with her charade. She didn't know I had met Tyler. She didn't know what I knew or what I was planning. I pulled out my phone and typed a message, keeping it short and deliberate. Me. Let's talk. Her reply came immediately. Amanda. Finally. Where? Me. At the house. Me. Be there at noon. Me. Alone. The word alone was important. I wasn't about to let her drag Tyler into this. This was between me and her. By 11:30, I had dropped the kids off with the same babysitter and was driving toward the house. The roads were familiar, but everything about the drive felt different. The house wasn't home anymore. It was the scene of a crime. Her crime. I pulled into the driveway. Her car was already there. She was sitting on the front steps, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. As I got out of the car, she looked up and gave me a tight, annoyed smile. About time, she said, standing and crossing her arms. I've been waiting. I ignored her, walked past her, and unlocked the front door. She followed me inside, the sound of her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. So, are you done playing the victim? Or are we going to have an actual conversation? Her tone was sharp. I turned to face her, leaning against the kitchen counter. We'll have a conversation, but first I want to hear you say it. She frowned. Say what? Say what you did. Amanda rolled her eyes like I'd just asked her to recite the alphabet. Robert, don't be ridiculous. We both know why we're here. I don't need to spell it out for you. I felt my jaw tighten, but I forced myself to stay calm. No, I said, my voice low and steady. You do need to spell it out. I want to hear you say it. I want to hear you admit it. For a moment, she just stared at me, her expression unreadable. Then she let out a bitter laugh. Fine, she threw up her hands. You want me to say it? I cheated on you. There, happy now? Happy. The word echoed in my mind like a bad joke. No, I shook my head. But at least now you've said it. Amanda leaned against the table, arms crossed. Robert, don't act like this is all on me. Our marriage has been dead for years. You're always working, always distracted. You've been checked out for ages. What did you expect me to do? Sit around and wait for you to notice me? Her words hit like a slap, but I didn't let it show. So this is my fault? It's not about fault, she snapped. It's about reality. You stopped trying, Robert. You stopped being exciting. I needed more, and Tyler... Tyler, I interrupted, raising an eyebrow. You mean the guy who was hitting on another woman at the bar last night? That shut her up. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Yeah, I continued, my voice cold. I met him. Nice guy, really. Seemed busy, though. Too busy to bother mentioning that he's been sleeping with half the women in town, apparently. Amanda's face flushed. That's not true, isn't it? I took a step closer. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you blew up our family for a guy who doesn't even take you seriously. She looked away, her jaw tightening. For the first time, I saw something other than arrogance in her expression. Doubt. I didn't come here to fight, I said, backing off slightly. I came here to tell you what's going to happen next. Her head snapped back toward me, eyes narrowing. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done playing games, I said firmly. I've already talked to a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm going to make damn sure the kids stay with me. She let out a sharp laugh, but it was forced. You think you can just take them from me? Good luck with that, Robert. No court is going to side with you over their mother. I pulled out my phone and opened the app I'd downloaded the night before. You sure about that? I asked, holding it up. Her eyes flicked to the screen. For the first time, I saw real panic flash across her face. What is that? She demanded. Proof, I said simply. Of everything. The texts, the emails, the hotel reservations, even a video I got last night of Tyler flirting with that girl at the bar. And trust me, Amanda, courts will be very interested to see how dedicated you've been to this family. Her face turned white. You wouldn't? Try me. For a moment, the room was dead silent. Amanda stared at me, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. Then she did something unexpected. She laughed, not the bitter, annoyed laugh from earlier. This one was darker, more dangerous. Fine, she said, her voice icy. You want to play dirty? Let's play dirty. But don't think for a second that I'm going to let you take my kids away from me. Her words sent a chill down my spine, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I stared her down, my expression unflinching. They're not your kids, I said quietly. They're ours, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect them from you. Amanda didn't respond. She just grabbed her bag, stormed out the door, and slammed it behind her. I stood there in the empty kitchen as the adrenaline finally started to fade, leaving nothing but exhaustion. The fight wasn't over. Far from it. But for the first time, I felt like I was on the front foot. She wanted war. She had just declared it. And I wasn't planning to lose. The moment Amanda slammed the door, I exhaled a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. The silence in the house felt heavy, almost suffocating. I wanted to feel victorious, like I had just claimed the upper hand in some grand battle. But the truth was, my hands were shaking, and my stomach was in knots. This wasn't the fight I wanted, but it was a fight I had no choice but to win. I sat down at the kitchen table, staring at the screen of my phone. All the evidence I'd gathered was neatly stored in a folder: texts, emails, screenshots of her messages with Tyler, the video of him cozying up to that girl at the bar. It was a damning collection, one I'd show to my lawyer first thing Monday morning. But there was something else I needed to do, something that wasn't about legal strategies or custody battles. This wasn't just about the kids anymore. It was about reclaiming my life from the wreckage Amanda had created. I opened Facebook. I hadn't posted in years. Social media isn't really my thing. But this was too perfect an opportunity to pass up. I scrolled through photos until I found a picture of Amanda and me from 2 years ago. One of those perfect couple shots taken at a friend's wedding. She was laughing, arm draped around my shoulders. We looked happy. We looked real. I added a caption to the photo. Funny how a photo can lie. Behind smiles are years of deceit. Behind laughter, betrayal. Behind her hand on my shoulder, a knife perfectly aimed. But don't worry, the truth always comes out. I hit post before I could second-guess myself. I'm not usually one for public drama, but this wasn't about airing dirty laundry. This was about setting the stage. Amanda had spent years carefully curating the image of the perfect wife and mother. I wanted her to know I wasn't afraid to tear that facade down. Within minutes, comments started pouring in. Friends, co-workers, even some of Amanda's family chimed in. Most were shocked, some supportive, a few downright nosy, fishing for details. I didn't reply to any of them. That wasn't the point. By the time I put my phone down, my head was pounding. I hadn't slept much in days, and the weight of everything was starting to catch up. I needed to clear my head. I grabbed my jacket and stepped outside, letting the crisp autumn air wash over me. The neighborhood was quiet, the kind of suburban silence that used to feel comforting, but now felt eerie, like it was mocking me. I didn't get far before my phone buzzed again. It was Jennifer. For a moment, I debated letting it go to voicemail, but I remembered the way her voice cracked during our last conversation. The hesitation, the guilt. She might not have been innocent in all this. "Robert," she said when I answered, her voice low. "What the hell is going on? Amanda just called me and she's losing it. Said you're trying to ruin her life." "Ruin her life?" I said, my voice cold. "She ruined it herself. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth." Jennifer sighed. "Look, I get it. What she did was awful. You have every right to be angry. But airing it out on social media? That's not going to help anyone, especially not the kids." Her words stung, but I didn't let it show. "Don't lecture me, Jennifer. You knew. Maybe not everything, but you knew enough and you said nothing. So don't pretend to care about the kids now." There was a long pause on the other end. When Jennifer finally spoke, her voice was softer. "You're right. I should have said something. I didn't know how. Amanda's always been intense and, honestly, I didn't think she'd go this far." "She didn't just go far," I said bitterly. "She burned it all to the ground." "I'm sorry, Robert. I really am." She hesitated. "But you need to be careful. Amanda's not going to take this lying down. You know how she is. She doesn't lose, not without a fight." I smirked, though there was no humor in it. "Good, let her fight. I'm ready." Jennifer didn't respond right away. When she finally spoke, her tone was more serious. "Just don't let this consume you, okay? The kids need you. Don't lose sight of that." The call ended shortly after, but her words lingered in my mind. The kids. Lucas and Rose were my priority. That much was clear. But what Jennifer didn't understand was that this fight was for them, for their safety, their future, for the life they deserved. I walked back into the house. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Amanda. "Amanda, you want to play dirty? Fine. But don't forget, Robert, I know things about you too. You're not as perfect as you like to pretend. Let's see how everyone reacts when I start telling my side of the story." Part of me wanted to laugh. Of course she tried to turn this into a war of perception, twisting the narrative to make herself look like the victim. But unlike her, I didn't have skeletons in my closet. My biggest crime was trusting her. I typed a quick reply. "Me. Tell whoever you want. But remember this. I'm not the one who cheated. I'm not the one who lied. And I'm not the one who brought a stranger into our kids' lives. Keep digging that hole, Amanda. I'll be waiting at the bottom." I hit send and tossed my phone onto the counter. This wasn't just about me and Amanda anymore. It was about control. Control over the truth. Control over the narrative. Control over the future. And I was done letting her call the shots. I stood there in the kitchen and realized something. For the first time in years, I felt alive. Amanda wanted a fight. She'd get one. But I wasn't just fighting for revenge. I was fighting to take my life back. Amanda's threat didn't scare me. It pissed me off, actually. The idea that she thought she could twist the truth, that she could paint me as the bad guy after what she'd done, was almost laughable. Almost. The thing about Amanda is, she's never faced real consequences. She's always had a way of talking herself out of trouble, spinning stories to make herself look like the victim. In high school, she convinced a teacher that her dog actually did eat her homework. In college, she talked her way out of a speeding ticket by crying about a fake family emergency. And with me, she was the queen of deflecting blame. But this time, I wasn't letting her get away with it. The next morning, I met with a lawyer. His name was Andrew, a no-nonsense type with a receding hairline and the kind of steel gaze that could make anyone squirm. He came highly recommended by a friend who'd gone through a nasty divorce. Within 5 minutes of sitting in his office, I knew why. "So let me get this straight," Andrew said, leaning back in his chair. "Your wife cheated on you repeatedly, brought her lover into your home, and now she's threatening to fight for custody?" "That's the gist of it," I replied. Andrew nodded slowly, tapping his pen against the edge of his desk. "Do you have evidence?" I pulled out my phone and slid it across the desk. "Texts, emails, and a video of her lover hitting on someone else at the bar. It's all there." Andrew picked up the phone and started scrolling through the folder I'd prepared. His eyebrows shot up a couple of times. At one point, he let out a low whistle. "This is substantial," he said finally, looking up. "Courts won't look kindly on her behavior, especially if you can prove she was neglecting the kids to carry on this affair." Do you have anything that shows she was absent or unavailable for them? Not yet, I admitted. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's more to dig up. She's been distracted for months. Andrew nodded again. All right, here's the plan. First, we file for divorce, citing infidelity as the cause. Then we start building your case for custody. The goal is to show you're the more stable parent, the one who puts the kids' well-being first. I leaned forward. And if she tries to smear me? Make me look like the bad guy? Andrew smirked, a sharp, wolfish grin. Let her try. If she throws dirt, we'll throw evidence. Courts don't care about petty drama. They care about facts. And from what I've seen so far, the facts are on your side. That was exactly what I needed to hear. Before I left his office, Andrew handed me a list of things to do. Gather more evidence, document every interaction with Amanda, and most importantly, stay calm. Don't give her anything she can use against you, he warned. No angry texts, no shouting matches. Keep it professional. Easier said than done, but I was determined to follow his advice. I got back to the cabin that afternoon. The kids were playing outside by the lake. Lucas was skipping stones while Rose was busy building what looked like a rock castle on the shore. For a moment, I just stood there watching them. They looked so happy, so carefree. I realized just how much I had to lose if this went wrong. Daddy, look! Rose shouted, holding up a perfectly round rock. It's a magic stone! I walked over and knelt beside her, taking the rock from her tiny hands. What makes it magic? I asked. She tilted her head, thinking hard. It makes wishes come true, she said finally. I smiled and ruffled her hair. Then I'd better keep it safe, huh? She nodded seriously, and I slipped the rock into my pocket. It wasn't magic, of course, but in that moment, I wished with everything I had that I could protect her and Lucas from what was coming. That evening, while the kids were asleep, Amanda called. I stared at the screen for a moment, debating whether to answer. Finally, I picked up. What do you want, Amanda? I said, skipping the pleasantries. Robert, this has gone far enough, she said, her voice sharp. Dragging lawyers into this, posting cryptic crap on Facebook. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I shot back. You cheated on me, Amanda. You lied. You betrayed me. And now you're acting like I'm the problem? Do you even hear yourself? She let out an exasperated sigh. Oh, spare me the martyr act. You're not perfect, Robert. You think just because you work late and pay the bills, that makes you a good husband? Newsflash. I was miserable. And if you weren't so blind, you would have seen that. Right, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Because the logical solution to being miserable is to sleep with your personal trainer and blow up your family. Her tone turned icy. You know what? Fine. If you want to play the victim, go ahead. But you're not taking my kids away from me. I'll fight you, Robert. And I'll win. Good luck with that, I said, my voice calm but firm. Because the moment this goes to court, the judge is going to see exactly what kind of mother you've been. There was a long pause on her end. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter, almost dangerous. You think you've got it all figured out, don't you? I don't think, Amanda. I know. I hung up before she could say anything else. The next day, I started putting the rest of my plan in motion. First, I reached out to a private investigator. If there was more dirt on Amanda or Tyler, I wanted to know everything. Every lie, every betrayal, every secret, I also began gathering my own evidence, going through old texts and emails, piecing together a timeline of her affair. I reached out to a couple of our mutual friends, carefully feeling them out to see if they had noticed anything unusual. Most were shocked when I told them the truth. Some were supportive, others not so much. It was clear that Amanda was already starting to spin her web. I had seen a post on her Instagram that morning, a smiling selfie with the caption, "Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones you never expected to fight, but I'm stronger than they think." It made me sick, but I wasn't going to let her rewrite the story. Not this time. The days that followed were a mix of calm and chaos. On the surface, everything was peaceful. Lucas and Rose were happy, adjusting to life at the cabin, spending their days swimming in the lake and playing hide-and-seek in the woods. I did my best to shield them from the storm brewing behind the scenes, but underneath, the war with Amanda was escalating. Her social media posts became increasingly pointed. She didn't name me outright, but the message was clear to anyone who knew us. Pictures of her with the kids from months ago popped up with captions like, "A mother's love never wavers, no matter how hard others try to break her spirit." She was playing the victim, carefully crafting a narrative to make herself look like a doting, devoted mother, while subtly painting me as the villain. But I wasn't sitting idle. The private investigator I hired, let's call him Greg, was good. Very good. Within 3 days, he had a detailed report on Tyler Bennett that read like a soap opera script. Turns out Tyler wasn't just a personal trainer. He was a personal disaster. First, there were his finances. He was drowning in debt, with credit cards maxed out, unpaid loans, and even a pending eviction notice for his apartment. Then there were the women. Greg uncovered at least 4 others Tyler had been seeing while with Amanda, each one oblivious to the others. But the real kicker? Tyler had a record. Nothing major, just a couple of arrests for drunk and disorderly conduct, but enough to paint a clear picture of who he really was. Greg even managed to get surveillance photos of Tyler meeting one of his other